Raise your hand if you're also suffering from anxiety. I wanted to talk about this today to see if this resonates with anyone else. Whenever I scroll on social media, I find myself comparing my life to others. I think to myself, how is she so confident? How did she make all the right choices? Her life looks so perfect. It's like she has it all together. But then I realized that I probably seem that way in my content too. You would never know that I had such a bad panic attack before buying my first investment property, or that I deal with the craziest imposter syndrome whenever I record a YouTube video, or that I almost canceled moving abroad because I had such a terrible panic attack, or that in the last 5 weeks I could barely sit because I'm having such an excruciating back pain. So, reality check, I just want to be transparent with you and show you that sometimes there's such a disconnect between what we see online and what is actually going on. In the last 18 months, I've moved abroad alone and I've lived here, and here. I've traveled to Italy twice, to Japan, and to the UK. I've started my social media accounts and I've created passive income sources based on them that allow me to work from anywhere in the world as long as it has Wi-Fi. I've hired 3 employees and basically I've created financial freedom, or in other words, fuck you money that gives me options and the freedom to choose where I live and who I spend my time with. I don't have some secret superpower that you don't have. What I do have is the skill to push myself to take action even though I have anxiety. And none of these wonderful adventures would have been possible if I hadn't pushed myself through my fears and made it happen. So in this video, I'm sharing the 5 mindsets that help me push through my fear and create a life that makes me jump out of bed with excitement in the morning. So mindset number 1 is no one is coming to save me. I just realized that if I don't make my dreams happen, no one else will. We all grew up on these fairy tales about the prince coming to save you. I think this passive princess narrative of waiting for someone to come fix everything, to make things happen for us, is very harmful because you could be waiting for years for someone to go on that trip with you or to move abroad with you, and years go by and suddenly you don't have the health or the energy to go after your dreams. My basic assumption is that if someone else figured out how to do it, then I can learn how to do it too. It's not about talent or luck, it's about learning. And instead of wasting time on mistakes and trial and error, because time is our most precious asset, I prefer to find someone that has already achieved the results that I'm looking to create and pay for their consultation or coaching or a course. I paid a relocation expert before I moved abroad. I pay realtors to help me find the right investment properties. I took countless courses on marketing and social media. I never skimp on these things, and everything that I've learned in the last 9 years that helped me create this kind of lifestyle of financial freedom has come from knowledge that I bought online, not from any traditional university. Besides that, I invest in therapy to get through my emotional blocks. There's no need to suffer and sit and ruminate in your head. The truth is, you don't need to know everything. You just need to be willing to learn. And investing in your skills is the best investment that you can ever make. Mindset number 3, anxiety is an inevitable part of starting something new. I learned that anxiety is just part of life when you're doing new things. I still feel it every single time before I travel, before I invest in something. That feeling of tightness here, and it doesn't get any better. The anxiety doesn't disappear, but it's just about taking action anyway. What helps me is knowing that I've done all the research that I can to be prepared. I check the numbers and I make sure that everything makes sense before I move forward. And then I just remind myself that I've done everything that I can to keep my risks at a minimum. And yes, there will always be black swans, things beyond our control, but the reality is bad things can happen to us even when we're sitting at home. Mindset number 4, just because it's difficult, it doesn't mean that you've made the wrong decision. Yes, moving abroad alone is exhausting and I miss my family and friends, and I've had moments where I felt completely dumb for not understanding forms or government websites. And something that I always remind myself is that even if it's hard, it doesn't mean that it was a mistake. And I make mistakes in my business too. Sometimes I hire someone and it doesn't work out, or I overpay for something. But none of this means that I'm not on the right path. I also remind myself that everything can look like a mistake when you're in the middle of the mess. It's very easy to second guess yourself. But there's no growing without figuring things out, and mistakes are part of the process. So whenever I feel like throwing in the towel, giving up, I make an agreement with myself to keep going for just one more day. And then usually by tomorrow, things get better. Mindset number 5, confidence comes from doing, not from overthinking. One of the comments I get a lot is, I wish I had your courage. I wish I could go travel by myself or move abroad alone. And honest to God, I'm not that brave. I just learned that you don't need confidence in order to go out and do things. Confidence doesn't just magically appear when you're sitting and thinking about all the things that you can do. It comes from taking action, and it grows with every small win, with every small achievement. Back at the time, every small thing like traveling alone felt terrifying to me, but I did it anyway. And after each trip, I came back a little bit braver and a little bit more capable. And these little wins add up and build your confidence until you're ready to take on bigger risks like starting your own business or moving abroad alone. And I promise you, every single time it has been worth it not to listen to my fear and to go out there and live life as an adventure, follow my bliss, because listening to your fears will make your life very small and very boring. The purpose of this video was to remind you that we are all scared, we are all terrified. So take this as your sign to just go out there and just do it. Sending you hugs. Raise your hand if you're also, no. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. No, maybe without a. I think to myself, how is she so confident? How did it? I think to myself, how is she so confident? How did she make all the right decisions? No, right choices. Whenever I scroll through social media, I find myself comparing. Whenever I scroll on social media, I find myself comparing my life to other people. Whenever I scroll on social media, I find myself comparing my life to other people. Let's do this again. You know what? Let's do it at the end.